And we are joined now by Fox News contributor Marc Thiessen. Marc, good afternoon to you and great to see you.
Afternoon.
It feels like almost every week we're going through this cycle, right, where there's a little bit of a ceasefire. We're told that the talks are continuing. We're maybe getting close to a deal. Then Iran decides to bomb a ship in the Strait of Hormuz or shoot a few missiles off at American soldiers. How do we break out of this cycle eventually?
Yeah, we're in the worst of both worlds because we're not in major combat, but we don't have peace. And we're not in the negotiation phase. I think, the president was, getting ready to return to major combat over the weekend. All the news reports were indicating. And then they came to him and said the Iranians want to talk. And so he's always going to want to talk. He's a man of peace. He doesn't want to have to bomb the hell out of them or bomb the S out of them, as he put it to you guys. And so he says, OK, let's talk. And then they've answered him. They tried to kill Americans. I mean, this was an attack intended to kill American citizens. And so at some point, you have to take no for an answer. They are not interested in a peace deal. They're not negotiating. And the people who keep teeing up these deals for him, it's becoming like Lucy with the football. They're setting him up for failure. At some point, you have to recognize that your adversary is not willing to talk. They're not willing to make a deal. Donald Trump is not going to make a bad deal. He has two red lines. The nuclear program has to be completely dismantled, and the Strait of Hormuz has to be open. And Iran is unwilling to do both of those things. And so a return to major combat is virtually inevitable unless he's willing to accept the status quo right now. And so it's better to do it now and get it over with. It'd take a few weeks to finish all the targets and end this thing, rather than having this drag out for the next 90 days with, a few days we're in combat, a few days we're off combat, a few days we're talking, the next day we're non-talking. It's not good for him, it's not good for the country, and it's not the right solution. It's not going to lead to peace.
Well, Axios is out with a new article suggesting that the military strikes themselves aren't going to be effective. They write in part that U.S. officials believe sanctions could hurt Iran more than bombs. The point they go on to make in the article is that Iran is more afraid of the Department of Treasury than they are than the Department of War, that the economic blockade is having more of an impact, stopping that oil, starving their economy, the fact that Iran potentially is going to get close to not being able to pay their fighters, they're getting gas runs, gas shortages, inflation. Do you buy into that argument, or do you think it should be a two-pronged approach, the bombing and the economic packages?
You need both. I mean, the blockade has been an enormous success. It's starved the regime of cash. It's put a world of hurt on them. But it's not eliminating their ballistic missiles. It's not burying their nuclear program. It's not it's a tool of coercion. But I think at some point we have to realize that this regime is not going to make peace with the United States. They're not interested in peace. If they were interested in peace, they would have taken the last half dozen opportunities that the administration has given them. So what do you need to do? We stopped the fighting in April at the 20-yard line. Okay, we had about 2 weeks left of bombing. You need to complete the mission. Eliminate the targets that were on the table then, plus some more that have made themselves available. Finish eliminating the leadership to the extent that we can hit them. Take out their economic targets inside the regime. They're going to completely destroy their ability to function as much as any sanctions are. Then keep the blockade in place. Open up the strait and work in a covert op to help the Iranian people overthrow their regime, not with boots on the ground. We've liberated 400 million people during the Cold War without boots on the ground. We gave money, we gave arms to the Contras, we gave arms to UNITA in Angola, we gave arms to the Afghans fighting and drove the Soviet Union out of Afghanistan and collapsed the Soviet Union. There are ways to help undermine a regime without putting boots on the ground. And that could be a long-term strategy, but you can finish the military campaign in weeks if we just go ahead and finish it.
Well, you get the sense that President Trump is just getting increasingly frustrated. He keeps trying to do diplomacy. Iran keeps spitting in his face. He dropped an F-bomb in the phone call with our Trey Yingst today and said, we're going to bomb the, quote, bleep out of them. So we will stand by.
He's right to be mad.
And see what that looks like. Marc Thiessen, great to see you, and thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.